Hey chams of Examsnet, welcome to the question series of Examsnet, and I hope this series of detailed explanations of the previous year's questions will help you a lot in your preparations for the examination. So we are basically going to solve a total of 90 questions in this biology section. That means in NEET 2018 biology paper. So let's start with this session. So the very first question that you can see on your screen is question 1, and it says that the difference between the process of spermiogenesis and spermiation is. All right. So this is a question that has been asked from your human reproduction chapter of your standard 12. All right. So certain statements are given regarding the process of spermiogenesis and spermiation. So let me first tell you that what is exactly these two processes. All right. Now, spermiogenesis is considered to be as a process in which the sperms are formed from the spermatids. So, spermiogenesis is a process in which sperms, which are also known as spermatozoa. So sperms or spermatozoa are formed from spermatids. All right. So this is the process. Now let me tell you that there are basically 4 spermatids which are formed from the secondary spermatocytes. So these spermatids are basically 4 in number. So these spermatids, they are haploid. Haploid means having single set of chromosomes. So they are haploid and are 4 in number. And are 4 in number. All right. Like they are formed like this. All right. And each of these spermatids is going to transform into respective sperm or spermatozoa like this. All right. So we can basically say that if these spermatids are 4 in number, so these are what? These are 4 spermatids. So if the spermatids are 4 in number, then definitely the sperms will also be 4. Sperms will also be 4 in number. And so these sperms will also be haploid because the spermatids are haploid. So these sperms will also be haploid. All right. So this is called as spermiogenesis. Now the next terminology that has been given over here is it is asking about the spermiation. Now once these spermatids are transformed into sperms, that means once the sperms are formed, they actually require nourishment. All right. And so the nourishment is provided by the Sertoli cells, which are found in the vicinity of the section of the seminiferous tubules. All right. So once these sperms are formed, their heads get embedded into the Sertoli cells for getting nourishment. All right. So you can say that after sperms formation, sperm heads gets embedded into Sertoli cells Just, yeah. So into Sertoli cells for nourishment. All right, because these cells will be providing nourishment to the sperms. So once after they are nourished from the Sertoli cells, they are ultimately released from the seminiferous tubules. And then these sperms are released from the seminiferous tubules. Then these sperms are released from seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. So this process of release of sperms is considered to be as the process of spermiation. All right. So this process of release is called spermiation. All right. So there is a difference between the process of spermiogenesis and spermiation. All right. So this is the case. So let us take a look into the statements that has been given over here. So the first statement is that in spermiogenesis, the spermatids are formed, while in spermiation, the spermatozoa are formed. Now, this is completely wrong statement, as we have seen in above. This is just the exact opposite statement that it is saying. All right. Now, the next is that in spermiogenesis, the spermatozoa are formed, while in spermiation, the spermatids are formed. Again, this is also wrong. All right. Then in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa are formed, while in spermiation, the spermatozoa are released from the Sertoli cells into the cavity of the seminiferous tubules. Now, this is a correct statement. This is a true statement. All right. But let us take a look into the fourth statement as well. So here it says that in spermiogenesis, the spermatozoa from the Sertoli cells, they are released into the cavity of the seminiferous tubules, while in spermiation, the spermatozoa are formed. Now, this is just exactly opposite. So again, this is also a wrong option. So the correct answer in this question is option C. All right. Now, question number 2. Now, question number 2 says that the amnion of the mammalian embryo is derived from. It's asking that the amnion, let me tell you that amnion is basically a category of extra embryonic membrane. It's an example of extra embryonic membrane of the embryo, mammalian embryo. All right. And it's asking that the amnion of the mammalian embryo is derived from ectoderm and mesoderm, then endoderm and mesoderm, then ectoderm and endoderm, and then mesoderm and trophoblast. See, these are basically the germ layers that has been mentioned over here. Now, let me tell you that basically amnion, chorion, allantois, and yolk sac, these are considered to be as the extra embryonic membranes. So we can say that amnion, then chorion, then allantois, and yolk sac. Yolk sac are considered to be extra embryonic membranes. So these are considered to be as extra embryonic membranes of mammalian embryo, apart from amnion. These three are also there. Now let me tell you that this amnion, since here it is asking about amnion, so amnion is basically formed from two germ layers. One is the mesoderm and the other is the ectoderm. So amnion is formed from mesoderm on the outer side. So mesoderm on the outer side and ectoderm on inner side. On inner side. All right. So since here it is asking about amnion, so let me tell you that the correct answer will be mesoderm and ectoderm over here, as you can see. All right. So mesoderm and ectoderm on the outer side. So ectoderm and mesoderm, the very first option is the correct answer. But let me tell you regarding the other, layers also, other membranes also. This chorion is basically formed from the trophoectoderm, all right, and mesoderm. So chorion is basically a combination of chorion is made of mesoderm and trophoectoderm. So this is usually made of mesoderm and trophoectoderm, while allantois, while this allantois and yolk sac, both are the membranes that have mesoderm on their outer side and endoderm on their inner side. So allantois and yolk sac have mesoderm on outer side and endoderm on inner side. All right, so this is regarding the origin of the other extra embryonic membrane. But since here it is asking only about amnion, so the correct answer is option A. Now, question number 3. Now, question number 3 says the contraceptive Saheli. All right, it is asking about contraceptive Saheli. It blocks estrogen receptors in the uterus, preventing eggs from getting implanted. It increases the concentration of estrogen and prevents the ovulation in females. Then it is a post-coital contraceptive and it is an IUD. Now, let me tell you about Saheli. That Saheli is one of the first oral contraceptive pill to be, made, or you can say discovered by an institute which is in Lucknow, and that is CDRI. So let me tell you about Saheli first. That so it is the first oral contraceptive pill developed by CDRI. CDRI is basically an organization or an institute that is localized in Lucknow, and this stands for Central Drug Research Institute. So it was actually developed by the scientist of CDRI, Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. All right. Now this Saheli is considered to be as once a week pill. So it is actually once a week pill. It is once a week pill having the non-steroidal preparations. So with non-steroidal preparations, having high contraceptive value also, high contraceptive value, and also with less side effects, very less side effects, and with less side effects. All right. Now, this contraceptive Saheli is usually made of, its preparation is usually made of hormonal composition. All right. So, this Saheli is usually, you can say, is having, it is having hormonal preparation. It is having hormonal preparations, and those preparations which are made of hormone, and the hormones actually that made makes this pill is basically the progestogen estrogen combination, that is progestogens estrogen combinations. So if it is made of hormonal preparations, so definitely it is going to target the hormonal receptor. All right. So if it is made, it's a clear fact that if it is made of hormonal preparation, then it definitely going to target the hormonal receptors. So we can say that Saheli targets hormonal receptors. In uterus, thereby preventing the eggs from getting implanted. Preventing eggs from getting implanted. All right. So this is the main answer that we can see. All right. So let us take a look. So the first is blocks estrogen receptors in the uterus, thereby preventing eggs from getting implanted. Yes, definitely. So the first statement has turned out to be the correct statement because it is going to block, as I told you, that since Saheli is made of hormonal preparation, so definitely it is going to act on the hormonal receptor. And here the hormonal receptor is estrogen receptor. Estrogen receptor. All right. So this is going to block the estrogen receptor and prevent it from getting implanted, preventing the eggs from getting implanted. Increases the concentration of estrogen and prevents ovulation in females? No, definitely not. Then it is a post-coital contraceptive? No. And it is an iodine? Definitely not. All right. So option A is the correct answer. Now, question number 4. So question number 4 says that the hormones which are secreted by placenta to maintain pregnancy are, all right. So this is again one of the direct questions that has been asked from your chapter of human reproduction, all right. And let me tell you about placenta first. You know, apart from the normal hormones that are being released by different tissues, placenta is also considered to be as a structural and functional unit between the mother and the baby, or the fetus, you can say. So basically we can say that placenta is a structural and functional unit. So this is a structural and functional unit between mother and fetus. Why structural and functional unit? Because this is primarily responsible for exchange of the nutrients between the exchange of nutrients, gases, and all those things between the mother and the fetus. And it also acts, the main function is this, in order that it is basically responsible for exchanging the nutrients and gases between the mother and the fetus. And apart from that, it also acts as an endocrine tissue. So placenta also acts as an endocrine tissue. That means a tissue which is responsible for secreting hormones. All right. So that is, it releases hormones during pregnancy. And some specific set of hormones which are released only and only during pregnancy by placenta are HCG, just it's HCG, that stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. So human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. Now this hormone is basically responsible for stimulating the corpus luteum during the pregnancy so that the estrogen and progesterone can be released. All right. So this hormone, it stimulates corpus luteum to release estrogen and progesterone during pregnancy. During pregnancy. All right. So this is the very first important hormone. All right, HCG. Apart from this, the second important hormone is the HPL. It is human placental lactogen. It is HPL, which is human placental lactogen. All right. Now, this is basically responsible for the growth of the body of the mother as well as for the breast of the mother. All right. So this promotes growth of body as well as breasts of mother. All right, so that is the case. And apart from that, if you will see, so we have already mentioned over here that estrogen and progesterones are also being released in case of the pregnancy. All right. So that is the case because progesterone is considered to be as a pregnancy hormone. Let me tell you that progesterone is considered to be as pregnancy hormone. And that's why it is very, very responsible and important for maintaining pregnancy. All right. So let us take a look at what are the different options that has been given. So it is HCG, HPL, progesterone, and prolactin. So prolactin is basically a milk ejecting hormone, which is released during the later phase of pregnancy, not during actually it is being released in the late phase of pregnancy. So this prolactin is considered to be as a milk ejecting hormone. This is milk ejecting hormone, which is actually not released by placenta, let me tell you. All right, so this cannot be the option actually. Then this is HCG, HPL, estrogen, relaxin, and oxytocin. Again, relaxin and oxytocin. Oxytocin is a birth hormone, and relaxin is going to relax the muscles of the uterus. And these two hormones, these are not released by placenta. All right, so this is not actually being released by the placenta. This is actually being released by the mother, and that too during the later phases of pregnancy. So again, this is also not an option. Then HCG, progesterone, estrogen, and glucocorticoids. Again, glucocorticoids is not the option. All right, glucocorticoids are not released. So again, this won't be the option. Then it is HCG, HPL, progesterones, and estrogens. Again, this is going to be the correct answer. All right, because we have seen over here that HCG and HPL are involved. But apart from that, you can see it is also, this HCG is also stimulating the release of two important hormones during the pregnancy, which is estrogen and progesterone. All right, so that is the case. So with this, option D is the correct answer. Now, question number 5. Question number 5 says that you have to match the items given in the column 1 with that of the column 2 and select the correct options that are given below. Now again, this question has been asked. There are 3 phases given: proliferative, secretory, and menstruation, and then breakdown of endometrial lining, follicular phase, and luteal phase. So this question is asked from your human reproduction chapter of your 12th standard again. And let us take a look at what are the different phases and what are their important features. All right. So the first phase is the proliferative phase. All right. And these are the phases of menstrual cycle. Let me tell you. These are basically the specific stages of menstrual cycle that is found in females. So proliferative phase is also considered to be as follicular phase. All right, where 2 things happens. All right, 2 things happens means the first important phase that it will result into maturation of the ovarian follicle. So in proliferative phase or in the follicular phase, there is maturation of ovarian follicles. So this means that the ovarian follicles, that means primary, secondary, tertiary follicle, they will be maturing into Graafian follicle. All right, so all these stages are there. To Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. And the second important thing is that there is regeneration of endometrium. There is regeneration of endometrium. All right. So there is regeneration of endometrium, and these 2 phases occurs due to increase in the concentration of, a very 2 important hormone, which is estrogen and progesterone. So this occurs due to increase in the level of estrogen, specifically the estrogen hormone. All right, so that is the case. Now the next, so we can say that proliferative phase is matchable to option 2 over here. All right, now then the second is the secretory phase. Now secretory phase is one such phase which is considered to be as the luteal phase. So luteal phase is considered to be as the secretory phase, because during this phase the corpus luteum releases a very important hormone, and that is considered to be as progesterone. All right. So we can say that secretory phase is also known as luteal phase. This is also considered to be luteal phase. Why? Because in this phase, corpus luteum produces progesterone hormone. Progesterone hormone, which maintains pregnancy, endometrium, and then pregnancy. So which maintains endometrium of uterus and then pregnancy. All right. So this is going to match up with this one. And the last is menstruation, which is relatable to the breakdown of the endometrial lining, which is also considered to be as the menstrual phase. All right. So this is going to match up with C. So we can say that menstruation deals with breakdown of endometrial lining of uterus. So this basically deals with the breakdown of endometrial lining of uterus due to decrease in the level of progesterone. Level of progesterone. All right. So that is the case. All right. So let us see what are the options that is matching. So A is going to match up with third option. Sorry, second option. A is going to match up with second option, this one. Then B is going to match up with third and C with one. So with this, option number 4 is the correct answer. All right. Question number 6. Question number 6 says that all of which are part of an operon except. All right. Now, this is again a very direct question that has been asked from your molecular basis of inheritance chapter of your standard 12. And let me tell you that basically operon consists of a group of, or it's a unit of some linked genes that regulates some other genes that will be responsible for protein synthesis. All right. So in your course, the operon that you have studied is the lac operon that is found in the E. coli cell. And a typical lac operon, found in E. coli consists of, so it usually consists of an operator gene, or an operator you can say, which will respond to the presence or absence of the repressor protein or the inducer. All right, so there's an operator. Then there is structural genes which are involved also. Structural genes. And there are 3 structural genes, Z, Y, and A. 3 structural genes are there in the line. And then there is a promoter also, which is present. All right, promoter also is found. All right, and there is an inhibitor, that means inducer gene is also present. that induces the secretion or synthesis of a repressor protein. All right. So if you just draw a sample lac operon structure, so you will have an idea how it exactly looks. So this is the promoter site over here. Then this is I gene, operator, and then Z, Y, and E. All right. So this is operator. This one is promoter. And these are structural genes. So these are present. All right. And this is basically repressor gene. Repressor. All right. So this is a typical lac of it that I have drawn. All right. So are a part of operon. It is asking about accept. So this operator is also present, structural genes are also present, promoter is also present, but enhancer is not found. All right. So we can definitely say that enhancer is the correct answer with regard to this question, because enhancers are the sequences that are found in the eukaryotes. All right. So this is found in, you can say that enhancers are the gene sequences, are gene sequences found in eukaryotes. So these are not found in prokaryotes. And here, these operon, they are a component of E. coli, that means prokaryote. So this is the case. All right. So option D is the correct answer. Now, question number 7. Question number 7 says that a woman who has X-linked condition on one of her X chromosomes, this chromosome can be inherited by. All right. So this question has been asked from the chapter of your principle of inheritance and variation from your standard 12. And this question is basically from the, genetical disorders. So here it is asking that a woman is having a X-linked condition. So a woman is having a X-linked condition. And we know that in case of women, there are two sets of chromosomes, X chromosomes found. So they have XX chromosome. All right. So they have XX chromosome. Now this chromosome can be inherited by one of her X chromosome. And it is saying that a woman is having an X-linked condition on one of her X chromosome. So if this woman is having an X-linked condition on one of her X chromosome, like for example, it is having a condition on this chromosome, this one, X-linked chromosome. Or rather we can say this one is having the condition, is having X-linked condition. All right. So if you just draw the possibilities, if you draw the Punnett square like this, here will be male and here will be female. All right. So if you draw the possibility, this is going to come like this. So that means you can see over here that this condition, this one, this chromosome, which is having X-linked condition, will be passed on to both the son also and to one of her daughter also. It can be passed to one of her son or to one of her daughter. So this is basically, and let me tell you that here, this is considered to be as the carrier daughter. So this is carrier daughter, and this is diseased or affected son, you can say. This is normal. This is normal. All right. So if you just look into the options, then it is saying that this chromosome can be inherited by only daughters? No. Only sons? No. Both sons and daughter? Yes. Only grandchildren? No. All right. So we can see over here that this condition is correlatable to, this is the carrier daughter. This is the carrier daughter who is carrying that particular condition of the mother, and the son will be ultimately affected. Why? Because son is having only X chromosome, and that X chromosome will be the diseased condition. So this is the, that's why it is the affected son. Affected son. So that means it is coming on to both son and daughter. So out of 4 possibilities, one daughter and one son will be having the disease. All right. So that's why option C is the correct answer over here. Question number 8. Question number 8 says that according to Hugo de Vries, the mechanism of evolution is, all right. Now this question has been asked from the chapter of evolution from your standard 12, and it's a very direct question because let me tell you that Hugo de Vries gave the concept of saltation. All right. So he basically contradicted he was the person who contradicted the Darwin's theory of natural selection. All right. And he explained that he told that the evolution is basically a kind of a discontinuous phenomenon, and later on he considered it to be as a saltatory condition or a saltation phenomenon. All right. So you can say that Hugo de Vries gave the mutation theory. So he basically gave the mutation theory, which stated that the evolution is a discontinuous phenomenon, or you can say a saltatory phenomenon, and consider it as a concept of saltation. All right. So that is the case. So he basically contradicted, he was the first person to contradict the Darwin's theory of natural selection. All right. So we can say that option B is the correct answer. We basically told, and in his mutation theory or in his single, saltatory phenomenon theory, he also told that mutation is basically the result of single step large mutation, or you can say that saltation is basically a phenomena of single step large mutation, you can say. This is single step large mutation concept. Large mutation concept. All right, so that is the case. As you can see, multiple step mutation won't be there, minor mutations won't be there, phenotypic variations won't be there. All right, so option B is the correct answer. Now question number 9. Question number 9 says that the sequence, that means A double G T A T C G C A T, is a sequence from the coding strand of a gene. All right. Now, what will be the corresponding sequence of the transcribed mRNA? Now, it is asking about mRNA. So, let us write the sequence. So, the sequence is A, G, G, then T, A, T, then C, G, C, and A, T. All right. So basically, we need to write out the transcribed mRNA. Now, if this is transcribed into mRNA, just a second. So if this will be transcribed into mRNA, so the sequence will be here. You can first make the arrow, then we can write it out like this. All right. So here is basically the process of transcription. So definitely this is, and yes, this is basically the coding strand. All right. Now coding strand and mRNA, it will be having all the same nucleotide sequence, except in place of T, it will be uracil. All right. Because in case of mRNA, we know that in case of mRNA, the nucleotides, they have a sequence of AUGC. So they usually have a sequence of AUGC. That means here you can say that U is uracil. All right. In place of thymine. So it is uracil in place of thymine, you can say, which is T. All right. So the entire sequences will be same. That means it will be A, then G, G, then here will be U, then A, then U, C, G, C, A, U. All right. So this will be the sequence of mRNA. Clear? So let us take a look. So it's A, G, G, U, A, U, then C, G, C, then A. So the first has turned out to be the correct one. So definitely these three will be incorrect. All right. Because the coding strand and the mRNA, they have the same nucleotide sequence. Remember this. Here it is asking about the coding strand. So we can write that coding strand and mRNA have the same nucleotide sequence. Except thymine, which is replaced by uracil. Replaced by uracil. All right. So this coding strand is also considered to be as an sense strand. So sense and anti-sense strand, it is being called. All right. So that's why the option A is the correct answer. Now, question number 10. Question number 10 says that among the following sets of examples for the divergent evolution, you have to select the incorrect option. All right. So it is asking here about divergent evolution. So this question has been asked from the evolution chapter of your standard 12. Now we know that there are two types of evolution. One is the divergent evolution and the other is the convergent evolution. So let me tell you that divergent evolution basically relates to which kind of structures? Homologous structures. So divergent evolution occurs in homologous structures. Homologous structures. Now, what are homologous structures? So, homologous structures are those structures which are structurally similar. That means they are morphologically similar, but functionally they will be different. So, we can say that homologous structures are morphologically similar, or rather you can say not morphologically but anatomically similar but functionally different, you can say. Anatomically similar but functionally different. That means they will be having all kind of same bones. The bones are of same origin, but the functionality of these structures will be different in different animals. So that's why they're functionally different. All right. So that is the case. So if you just look into the different examples that has been given, so the first example is that forelimbs of man, bat, and cheetah. All right. So here you have to find out the incorrect option. Let me tell you that which is not showing the divergent evolution. So forelimbs of man, bat, and cheetah, it is an example of divergent evolution because they are, they are anatomically similar, but they are functionally different because forelimbs of man is meant for holding or touching a substance or something. Then bat is meant for flying. Forelimbs of bat are meant for flying. And forelimbs of cheetah, they are meant for running. So they are anatomically similar, but structurally different. So you can say that example basically include, this is true. The first example is forelimbs of man, bat, and cheetah. All right. Then the second example will be, let us take a look. What are the next example that has been given? Heart of bat, man, and cheetah. Now, when you look into the heart of man, bat, and cheetah, so definitely this is also a divergent evolution. That means the origin is same. That means all the three organisms' heart is derived from the mesoderm, germ layers. But functionally, they are considered to be as different. All right. So that is the case. So then there is eye of octopus, bat, and man. All right. Now, eye of octopus, bat, and man is basically an example of analogous structure, not an example of, not an example of your divergent evolution or homologous structures, because eye of octopus, bat, and man, they are anatomically different but functionally similar. How? Because they have the presence. Eyes are primarily meant for, seeing purpose or for visual sights. So they are functionally similar in all the organisms, but structurally they are different. That means their origin is different, you can say. All right. So we can say that this is also true. This is also indicating divergent evolution. This is also indicates divergent evolution. That means these are homologous structures. All right. However, eye of octopus, if you will see, eye of octopus, bat, and man, they represent analogous structures. They are going to basically represent analogous structure, which means they are structurally different but functionally similar. But they are functionally similar. And so they show the convergent evolution. It shows convergent evolution. All right. So this is the incorrect option basically. That means this is the true answer. Sorry. And the last is brain of bat, man, and cheetah. Again, this is also an example of homologous structures. So option C is the correct answer. Now question number 11. So question number 11 says that the conversion of milk to curd improves its nutritional value by increasing the amount of, all right, whether it's vitamin D, vitamin A, then vitamin E, or vitamin B12. Now let me tell you that this question has been asked from the chapter of microbes in human welfare from your standard 12th. All right. So basically this process of conversion of milk to curd, let me tell you that conversion of milk into curd is carried out. Now this is basically carried out by a group of bacteria, by a group of bacteria called lactic acid bacteria. So basically there is a group of bacteria which is called as lab or lactic acid bacteria. So this group of bacteria which is called as lab is responsible for converting milk into curd. And specifically if we say, then the genus which is responsible for this process is Lactobacillus acidophilus. All right. So this is the case. Now this bacteria is responsible for converting milk into curd at an appropriate temperature. All right. And by taking an inoculum or a starter, which is mixed in a milk, and that too at an appropriate temperature. Now, curd has two nutritional benefits. Curd usually has the presence of two nutritional benefits. So curd has two nutritional benefits. So they have two nutritional benefits. The first important benefit is that it has enriched amount of a very important vitamin which is actually not available in the body, and that is called vitamin B12. All right. So it is enriched with enriched with vitamin B12. All right. So this is the very first important feature, which is actually not found in case of milk. And the second nutritional benefit that the curd has is that it also checks the disease causing, microbes in the stomach. So it also checks disease causing microbes in stomach. All right, so that is the case. So as you can see over here, here it is asking about the nutritional benefit that is present over here. That means which vitamin is found. So it is the vitamin B12 that you can see over here. So this means that that option D is the correct answer. All right, vitamin B12. Now, question number 12. Now, question number 12 says that which of the following is considered to be, is not an autoimmune disease. So which of the following is not an autoimmune disease it is asking about. All right. So the options are psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, vitiligo, and Alzheimer's disease. Now, let me tell you that this question has been asked from the chapter of human health and disease from your 12th standard. And let us just look into the options step by step. All right. So the first option is psoriasis. All right. So the first is psoriasis. Now, psoriasis is basically this is a category of skin disease that that causes itchiness, or that causes sore patches, or you can say it basically results into redness in the skin, and it has been considered to be as an autoimmune disorder. So this is a skin disease basically. So it is a skin disease. All right. So it is a skin disease that causes itchiness, or you can say redness on the skin, or sore patches. All right. Now, psoriasis is considered to be as an autoimmune disorder. All right. So this is an example of autoimmune disorder. So this is an autoimmune disorder. All right. So the first option is not included in the answer. Now, the second one is rheumatoid arthritis. Now, rheumatoid arthritis, if you see this category of disease, then rheumatoid arthritis is also an example of an autoimmune disorder where, where the antibodies that are produced in the body, they act against the synovial membrane and the cartilages. So this is the case. So we can say that rheumatoid arthritis. So rheumatoid arthritis is also an autoimmune disorder. So this is basically an autoimmune disorder in which the antibodies produced, act against the synovial membrane. So they basically act against the synovial membrane and the cartilage. That means it is actually defecting the body. These antibodies are actually acting against the body itself. So definitely this is an autoimmune disorder. Now the third option that has been given is vitiligo. The third option is vitiligo. All right. Now vitiligo is responsible for causing white patches on the skin. All right. So this is a disease. This is also a skin disease that results into white patches on the skin. And this is also an example of an autoimmune disorder. So an autoimmune disorder, immune disorder where white patches, where white patches are formed on skin. So white patches are actually formed on skin. All right. Now the only last option that is left is the Alzheimer's disease. Now the D option is Alzheimer's disease. Now definitely this is not an autoimmune disorder. All right, because Alzheimer's disease is because of the deficiency of the secondary messengers in the body, and that too in the brain, you can say specifically. So this is not an autoimmune disorder. So it is not an autoimmune disorder. So it is not an autoimmune disorder. Not an autoimmune disorder, as it is caused due to deficiency of secondary messengers. Secondary messengers, that is neurotransmitters, which are responsible for cell signaling process. And since these neurotransmitters, they are deficient and they play a very important role in cell signaling, so the process of transfer or the process of communication between the cells or the tissues or the organs gets inhibited, we can say. So it is due to deficiency of secondary messengers, that is neurotransmitters, and specifically it is acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is one of the example of neurotransmitter. All right. So option D is considered to be as the correct answer. That means since here it is asking not an autoimmune disorder. All right. Now, next is question number 13. Now, question number 13 says that the similarity of the bone structure in the forelimbs of many vertebrates is an example of homology, analogy, adaptive radiation, and convergent evolution. Now, let me tell you that this question has been asked from chapter evolution from your 12th standard. And since here it is asking about the similarity of bone structure. All right. So there are two terms that we know or that we come across in evolution. One is called as the homology and the other is called as analogy. So basically, homology, since the first option is only homology, so we will start with the first option itself, which is homology. Now, homology basically represents those structures which are structurally similar. That means the organs which are structurally similar, but they are functionally different, you can say. All right. So this represents the structures or organs which are structurally similar. So they are considered to be structurally similar, but functionally they are different. But functionally different. Now, why they are functionally different? Due to adaptations to different kinds. But they are functionally different due to adaptations of different kinds. All right, so this is the reason. That means they are structurally similar, but they are functionally different, remember. So since here it has been asking about the similarity in the bone structure, as you can see. So here it is asking the similarity in the bone structure. So that means they are structurally similar, and the forelimbs are structurally similar in the vertebrates. So this is definitely an example of homology, the very first important option. The very first option is actually correct. All right, because this homology, this is also going to represent, this actually represents divergent evolution. So this represents divergent evolution. That means their point of origin will be similar, they will be having a common ancestor, but because of the adaptation to different kind, they will be diverged to form and to adapt to different evolution. So this is basically the divergent evolution. So having a common ancestry over here, but they will be diverse to different adaptations like this. All right. So that is the case. So homology is the correct answer. And definitely analogy won't be there, because in case of analogy, the organs are, structurally different but functionally similar. So organs are structurally similar. Sorry, structurally different but functionally similar. Structurally different and functionally similar. So again, this is not an option. Adaptive radiation is an entirely different concept, so that this cannot be there, and convergent evolution cannot be there. All right, so that's why the correct answer is option A over here. Now, question number 14. Now, question number 14 says that which of the following characteristics represents the inheritance of blood groups in the humans? All right. So this question has been asked from your Principles of Inheritance and Variation chapter of Standard 12. All right. Now, here it is asking about the inheritance of blood group. Now, let me tell you that inheritance of blood groups. So basically, there are two categories of blood groups that is there in your course. Blood groups. One is the RH blood grouping process, and the other is considered to be as the ABO blood grouping. So it is ABO blood grouping, and the second one is RH blood grouping. All right, so these are the two things and two categories of blood. RH blood grouping is basically the racist category of blood grouping, where 90% of the human population shows this type of blood group. All right, and ABO is the general blood grouping that we have studied. All right, now let me tell you that this inheritance of blood grouping, whether it is an ABO blood grouping or whether it is an RH blood grouping, so the option that has been given is dominance, codominance, multiple alleles, incomplete dominance, and then polygenic inheritance. Now, this blood grouping is primarily dependent upon three important options that has been given. It is dependent on dominance, then codominance, and multiple alleles. All these three options are correct, while the incomplete dominance and the polygenic inheritance cannot be the case, because incomplete dominance is a dominance which shows deviation from the Mendel law of inheritance, and this is a complete a different concept. And again, polygenic inheritance, where multiple genes are involved in controlling a single trait or a character. So again, this is also not an option. So let us take a look at how these three different concepts justifies it. All right. So the first option is basically considered to be as the dominance one. So this dominance option is justified in case of Rh blood grouping. All right. Because the Rh group, the person that is having the Rh antigen will be Rh positive, and the person who is not having the Rh antigen is considered to be as Rh negative. So you can say that the Rh blood group is a phenomenon of dominance. So this is basically a phenomenon of dominance, and it will be expressed if inherited from either parent. That means either from the mother or from the father, from either parent. All right. So we can say that person having Rh antigen is Rh positive, or person not having the Rh antigen is Rh negative. So person having Rh antigen, that is considered to be as Rh positive, and person not having Rh antigen is considered to be Rh negative. So definitely the phenomenon of dominance is coming over here in case of the Rh blood grouping. Now, the next is the codominance in the multiple alleles. Now, if you just consider the codominance part, so ABO blood grouping is one such an example that represents the example of codominance factor, because within the when you will see the ABO blood grouping, or you can say within the ABO blood grouping, so within the ABO blood grouping, the genes which are A and B, the genes A and B are codominant. So they are basically codominant to one another. So they are codominant, and that is codominant means that these genes will be expressed whenever the gene is present. So these will be expressed whenever the gene is present. All right. While the O gene is actually considered to be silent over here, and it is only expressed when neither A is present and nor the B gene is present. So that is the case. So while O gene is silent and only expressed when neither A, or you can say nor B. Neither A nor B is present. All right. So this is the case. So again, we basically consider that means ABO blood grouping is showing a phenomenon of codominance over here. All right. And the last is the multiple alleles. So multiple alleles means that means there with the presence of more than one allele that is controlling a single character or a trait. So basically, three alleles are responsible, you can say. In case of the ABO blood grouping, if you see, then there are three different alleles that are responsible for the different blood grouping in the humans. So three alleles, that is, those three alleles are IA, IB, and I. These are the three different alleles are responsible for different types of ABO blood group in humans. Thereby showing multiple allelism. So thereby showing multiple allelism. All right, so this is the case. So this is the entire explanation. So definitely we can say that A, B, and C are the correct options. So if you just look into the options, then it comes out to be option number B is the correct answer. All right, now question number 15. Now question number 15 says that in which disease does mosquito transmitted pathogen causes chronic inflammation of the lymphatic vessels? All right, so in which of the disease does mosquito transmitted pathogen causes chronic inflammation of the lymphatic vessels? Options are elephantiasis, ascariasis, amoebiasis, and ringworm disease. So this question has been asked from Human Health and Disease chapter of your standard 12. Now let me tell you that this inflammation of lymphatic vessels, all right, is caused as this inflammation of lymphatic vessel is a symptom of elephantiasis, which is also known as filariasis. All right, so basically we can say that inflammation of lymphatic vessel is a symptom of elephantiasis. This is basically a symptom of elephantiasis, which is also known as filariasis. That means since it is caused by filarial worm, all right, so since this is caused by filarial worm, so that's why it's called as filariasis. As it is caused by filarial worm. So this is basically caused by filarial worm, and those filarial worms are Wuchereria bancrofti and Wuchereria malai. So there are two species that are responsible for causing this disease. Now this is basically transmitted by a mosquito pathogen. Basically, a mosquito is responsible for transmitting this disease from person to person, and that mosquito is Culex mosquito. So it is basically the vector, you can say. So the vector or transmitting agent the vector or transmitting agent is Culex mosquito. All right. So this is the case. So this means option A is the correct answer over here. Clear? Now, question number 16. Now, question number 16 says that all of the following are included in the XC2 conservation except, all right, so wildlife safari parks, sacred groves, seed banks, and botanical gardens. Now, let me tell you that this question has been asked from the chapter of biodiversity and its conservation, and this is from standard 12. All right. So basically, there are two methods of conserving biodiversity that we have known. So there are two methods of conservation of biodiversity. Conservation of biodiversity. All right. So the first is considered to be as the in situ method of conservation, and the other is considered to be as the ex situ method of conservation. All right. Now the in situ method of conservation is considered to be as the on-site conservation. So this is on-site conservation, conservation within its natural habitat, you can say, while ex situ is considered to be as off-site conservation. That means the conservation of a particular species or an animal, by taking that particular organism outside its natural environment. All right, so that is the case. So that's why it's called as on-site conservation, and this is off-site conservation. So on-site conservation basically includes, that means in situ conservation includes national parks. So this includes national parks, then biosphere reserves, then wildlife sanctuaries, then sacred groves. All right, so these are the examples of in situ conservation. While ex situ conservation, the example of ex situ conservation primarily includes, pollen bank, then seed bank, then there is gene bank, then zoological parks, then botanical gardens, all right, then so it's wildlife parks or safari parks, you can say, that is also included, etc. So these are basically various examples are there. All right, so let us take a look the options that has been given. So all the following are included in the ex situ conservation except it is talking about. So wildlife safari parks, this is an ex situ conservation. This is an example of ex situ that we have seen. All right. So again, sacred groves. Sacred groves is an example of in situ conservation. So this is in situ. Then seed bank, again, ex situ. This is an example of ex situ that we have seen. And botanical garden, again, this is an example of ex situ conservation that we have seen. So with the question, so the correct answer is considered to be option B over here. All right. Now, question number 17. Question number 17 says that which part of the poppy plant is used to obtain the drug smack? All right. Now, let me tell you that this question is from the Human Health and Disease chapter, and particularly from the topic of drug and adolescence drug abuse section, basically, uh, from your 12th standard. So, smack is basically considered to be as heroin. All right. Smack is basically called as brown sugar. All right. And let me tell you that smack is also called as heroin. So this is also called as heroin or brown sugar. All right. So this is also considered to be as heroin or brown sugar. And this is basically formed by the process of acetylation of morphine. This MAC is formed. It is formed by acetylation process of morphine. So this is usually formed from the acetylation of morphine, and this smack is obtained from the latex of the poppy plant. All right, that means this category. Option B. All right, so smack is usually obtained from the latex. Latex is basically a kind of a secretion, you know, it's a kind of a yellowish secretion from the poppy plant. All right, and this yellowish secretion from the poppy plant, which is called as latex, is used for producing capsules of the poppy plant, and so they are being used as smack. So it is obtained from the latex of unripened capsules of poppy plant. All right, so that's why the correct answer is option B, which is latex. Now, question number 18. Question number 18 says that in a growing population of a country, the pre-reproductive individuals are more than the reproductive individuals. The reproductive individuals are less than the post-reproductive individuals. Then the pre-reproductive individuals are less than the reproductive individuals, and then reproductive individuals and pre-reproductive individuals are equal in number. So this question has been asked from the chapter of organism and population, and from your 12th standard. And let me tell you that basically there are three kinds of age pyramids, that you people might have studied, and that is, one is considered to be as the expanding population, other is considered to be the stable population, and the third is considered to be as a declining population. So since here it is asking about the growing population, so growing population, if it is asking about it, so growing population indicates expanding population. Growing population indicates expanding population. Remember, expanding population. So this basically indicates expanding population. And in case of the expanding population, when we have to draw the pyramid, then it goes like this. Or rather, we can draw it like this. We can rather draw like this. Yeah. So this is a kind of an expanding population that you can see on your screen. And this represents the pre-reproductive individuals. This represents pre-reproductive individuals. All right. This the between section, this will represent the reproductive individuals. And of course, this one will be representing the post-reproductive individuals. All right, so this is how the growing population looks like. So this is an expanding or growing population. Expanding or growing population. All right. So with this, we can see that the pre-reproductive individuals, they are more in number. So they are more in number. All right. Then reproductive individuals, they are less in number. Less in number. And post-reproductive individuals, they are very less in number, you can say. So they are very less in number. This is the case. All right, so let us take a look into the options. So in a growing population of a country, the pre-reproductive in a growing population of a country, the pre-reproductive individuals are more than the reproductive individuals. Yes, this is a true statement. You can see over here that the pre-reproductive individuals, they are more in number as compared to the reproductive individuals. Reproductive individuals are less than the post-reproductive individuals. Reproductive individuals are less than the post-reproductive individuals. No, they are not less than the post-reproductive individual. They are actually more in number as compared to post-reproductive. So pre-reproductive individuals are less than the reproductive individuals. Again, no. Then reproductive and pre-reproductive individuals are equal in number. No. That's why option A is the correct answer. Now, question number 19. Now, question number 19 says that which one of the following population interactions is widely used in medical science for the production of antibodies? All right. Now, antibodies. So for the production of antibodies, what are the different kinds of interaction that is being taking place? Now, let me tell you that the four options that has been given are commensalism, mutualism, amensalism, and parasitism. All right. Now, this question has been asked from organism and population chapter. All right. And that is from the topic of population interaction. So basically, commensalism, all these are the interactions. All these are kind of a population interaction where one organism can either be benefited or it can either lost. It can be lost or it can either not be benefited nor be lost. So that is the case which is there. But out of all the options that you can see, amensalism is one such option. That means option C is one such option which indicates the process of antibiosis. Since here it is asking about that it is being used in medical science for the production of antibodies. All right. And antibodies are basically one such kind of chemical substances which are produced by a group of microbes, and it is in turn it is used to kill or inhibit the growth of the other microorganisms. So definitely when we see, let us take a look first at the different options. We'll start with the very first important option, which is commensalism. All right, and then we will move on to the amensalism one. So commensalism is a population interaction. So population interaction in which one organism is benefited. That means this one. And other is neither benefited nor harmed. Sorry, it's 0. All right, so this is the case. This is in case of commensalism. All right, so definitely this antibodies won't be an option for commensalism, because antibodies are one such option where the minus and negative, negative and the 0 interaction should be there. So definitely this is not an option. Then mutualism, again, mutualism is one such interaction where a population interaction where both organisms are benefited. So a population interaction where both organisms are benefited. Like this. All right. So again, this is also won't be an option. Now the third option is considered to be amensalism. And amensalism is one such interaction in which one organism is neither benefited nor harmed. Neither benefited nor harmed, that means 0, while other is harmed, which is negative. Just like this is the case of antibiotics. Like if you just define antibiotics, since here in this question, it is asking here that which population interaction is widely used in medical science for the production of antibiotics. So for the process of production of antibiotics, definitely this is being applied, because antibodies it is asking about. So antibodies or antibiotics, you can say, basically, that relies on the principles of antibodies. So these are the chemical substances produced by microorganisms. So these are basically the chemical substances which are produced by microorganisms, and these microorganisms are neither benefited nor harmed from that chemical substances, and it kills or inhibits the growth of other microbes. So since it is going to kill or inhibit the growth of other microbes, so definitely the interaction has to be, that particular microbe will be killed. That means it will be negatively affected. All right. So that is the case. So we can say that one of the best example of antibiotic is penicillin. Penicillin, produced by Penicillium notatum. Produced by Penicillium fungus, you can say. All right. And this fungus has no effect on penicillium, but it will affect the organisms that is, that is opposite to it. So that's one. So we can say We can also write here commensalism as antibiosis. So it will be rather more clear. All right. So that's why commensalism is considered to be as the correct answer over here with regard to the antibodies. And regarding parasitism, the last option which is left, let me tell you that parasitism is one such option where one organism is, this is an interaction in which one organism is benefited. That means the parasite will be benefited. Parasite here is benefited while the host is harmed. That means the host is negatively affected. So definitely this won't be an option. So that's why the correct answer is option C over here. Now, question number 20. So question number 20 says that you have to match the given items in the column 1 with those of the column 2 and select the correct option given below. So this is a match the column kind of a question that has been given. So let us take a look at the different options. So the first is eutrophication. Eutrophication. Now, eutrophication is basically a process of nutrient enrichment in the water body. All right. So this is basically a process of nutrient enrichment in the water bodies where the water bodies, they are nutritionally so enriched that it results into growth of blue green algae, which is also considered to be as water bloom. All right. And that's how it creates water pollution, you can say. So it's a process of nutrient enrichment. Nutrient enrichment of water bodies. Water bodies resulting into excessive growth of planktonic algae. Planktonic algae causing water bloom. Or water pollution, you can say. All right, so this is the case. So A is going to match up with this one. Now, option B is sanitary landfill. Sanitary landfill is a process of waste disposal mechanism. All right. So this is one of the process of waste disposal mechanisms where the waste are being dumped in the dump pits created in the inside the earth, and then they are filled up with the layer of soil on it. So this we can say that means sanitary landfilling sanitary landfill, a method of waste disposal. All right, so this is basically a method of waste disposal. So this is going to match up with B. Then snow blindness. So snow blindness is basically caused because of UVB radiation. All right, this is caused due to UVB radiation. All right, and snow blindness is basically you can say that these UVB radiations, these are the harmful categories of the ultraviolet rays that is responsible for causing diseases of eyes like snow blindness or cataract or any other eye diseases, you can say. So basically you can say that snow blindness is caused due to UVB rays that reaches Earth due to depletion of ozone layer. So this is the case. Now, the last is Jhum cultivation. Jhum cultivation is basically related to deforestation. All right. So Jhum cultivation is one of the reasons basically for deforestation, where, and this is a cultivation which is actually being performed by the local area. All right, where they try where they try out cultivating different categories of crops. So this word basically Jhum basically is related to clearing of the forest patches, in the local area or in the forest areas. And because of the clearing and because of the cultivation purposes that they do, this is resulting into clearing of the forest areas, and that's why it is resulting into deforestation. So D is related with, that means Jhum cultivation is one of the causes of deforestation, you can say, is one of the causes of deforestation. So this means this is going to match up with D. All right. Now let us take a look to the options that has been given over here. So A will be matching up with third option. Then B is going to match up with fourth, C is going to match up with one, and D is going to match up with second. All right. So with this, option 4 is considered to be as the correct answer over here. All right. Let's talk about question number 21. Now, this question says that which of the following options correctly represents the lung conditions in asthma and emphysema, respectively? All right. Now, this question has been asked from the chapter of your respiration, that means breathing and exchange of gases chapter of your 11th standard. And let me tell you that asthma and emphysema, all right. So, this asthma and emphysema, they both are a category of respiratory disorder. Emphysema are respiratory disorders. They both are respiratory disorders. All right. Now let us take a look into the options that has been given. So option A says there is inflammation of bronchiole, decreased respiratory surface, then increased number of bronchioles, increased respiratory surface, decreased respiratory surface, inflammation of bronchioles, then increased respiratory surface and inflammation of bronchioles. All right. Now let us talk about asthma first. So asthma is one such respiratory disorder in which a person feels difficulty in breathing. All right, and this is because of the swelling, you can say, or inflammation, you can say, in the bronchi and in the bronchioles of the lungs. All right, so asthma, we can say that asthma is a respiratory disorder, where a person feels difficulty where a person usually feels difficulty in breathing. All right, so a person usually feels difficulty in breathing due to inflammation in bronchi and bronchioles of lungs. All right. So this is the case. So the person actually feels difficulty in breathing, and this is because of inflammation in the bronchi and the bronchioles of the lungs. All right. While when we see emphysema is also a category of the respiratory disorder, and it is a long-term disorder. That means it's a chronic disorder where, in which the alveoli or the alveolar walls, you can say, of the lungs, they gets damaged, and because of which the respiratory surface area of the for the alveoli, it gets decreased, and so there is the exchange of gases which is actually being carried out by alveoli, that becomes difficult. So emphysema is a chronic respiratory disorder. So this is a chronic respiratory disorder in which alveoli and its walls gets damaged, and when they will be damaged, so definitely they are the main exchange, they are the main site for the gaseous exchange. So this will ultimately result into reducing the respiratory surface area. So they gets damaged, due to which the respiratory surface gets decreased. So the respiratory surface is going to get decreased. All right, so this is the case. So let us take a look. So it's the first statement, or the first option is inflammation of bronchioles and the decreased respiratory surface. So this is the correct answer, because you can see over here that in case of asthma, there is inflammation in bronchi and bronchioles, and in case of emphysema, there is the damage which is caused to the alveoli, and because of that the respiratory surface, it gets decreased. As you can see over here, it is getting decreased. So the first option has turned out to be correct. The second option, which says that increased number of bronchioles, of course not, since this is a disorder, so definitely there won't be an increase in the number of bronchioles. Decreased respiratory surface and inflammation of bronchioles, no. Increased respiratory surface, inflammation of bronchioles, again no. So the correct answer is option A. Now, question number 22. Question number 22 is the match the column kind of a question. Now you have to match the items given in the column 1 with those in the column 2 and select the correct option that is given below. All right. So column 1 has given certain valves, and column 2 has been related to, is basically related to the locations of these valves that are found in the heart. So this is a question from the chapter of body fluids and circulation from your standard 11th. All right, so let us talk about the first category, which is tricuspid valve. Now let me tell you that this tricuspid valve is a valve which is located at the junction between, or at the junction of, or between the right atrium and the right ventricle. So this valve is present between right atrium, and right ventricle. And since this is made of 3 muscular flaps, so that's why it is called as tricuspid valve. All right, so this is present between right atrium and right ventricle, remember. So this is going to match up with this one. All right, then the second one is asking about the bicuspid valve. Now, bicuspid valve is a valve which is also known as mitral valve. So this is also considered to be as mitral valve. And this is a valve which is present at the junction between left atrium and left ventricle. So this is present between left atrium and left ventricle. All right. So this is the case. And the third one is considered to be as the semilunar valves. So basically there are 2 semilunar valves that are found in heart, pulmonary semilunar valve and the aortic semilunar valve. All right. So this is going to match up with B and this is going to match up with A. So this is usually present between the pulmonary semilunar valve and the aortic semilunar valve. So the only option left here is between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. All right, so this semilunar valve, which it is talking about here, this is the pulmonary semilunar valve, which is present between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. So you can say semilunar valves they are either, they can either be pulmonary semilunar valve or they can either be aortic semilunar valve. Clear? So this pulmonary semilunar valve is present at the junction between right ventricle and pulmonary artery. So this is present between right ventricle and pulmonary artery, while this aortic semilunar valve, this is present between left ventricle and out. All right, so this is the case. So with this, option C is going to match up with second one. So let us take a look. So A is going to match up with third one, that means this one. Then B is going to match up with option 1 and C is going to match up with option 2. That means option A is the correct answer. All right. Now, question number 23. So question number 23 says again, the match the items have been given in the column 1, those in the column 2, and you have to select the correct option that is given below. All right, so again, this question, the volumes have been given regarding the respiration in column 1 and the capacities have been given in the column 2. So this question has been asked from the chapter of breathing and exchange of gases from your standard 11th. All right, so let us take a look and have a look regarding the different volumes that has been given. Now, basically, this tidal volume, if we talk about, so tidal volume. All right, so tidal volume is basically the volume of air inspired or expired. So this is considered to be as the volume of air which is inspired or expired during the normal respiration process. So during normal respiration, you can say. All right. So this is approximately, the capacity of this tidal volume is approximately 500 ml. So this is approximately 500 ml. All right. So this is the case. So that means tidal volume is going to match with this one. Now the B1 is inspiratory reserve volume, which is also called as IRV. Inspiratory reserve volume is called as IRV. Now this inspiratory reserve volume is basically the additional volume that a person can inspire or can take in by a forceful inspiration process. So it is the additional volume of air a person can inspire via forceful inspiration. All right. So IRV usually has a capacity of around 2500 to 3000 ml capacity. So they usually have, so IRV is usually around it's 2500 to 3000 ml. Clear? So let us take a look. So it's 2500 to 3000 ml. That means this one. Clear? Then again, expiratory reserve volume. So expiratory reserve volume is just the opposite of the inspiratory reserve volume. This is basically forceful expiration, you can say. So it is the additional volume of air a person can expire by a forceful expiration, you can say. So by a forceful expiration. So this is going to give a measurement of around 1000 to 1100 ml. So ERV is usually 1000 to 1100 ml. All right. So this means 1000 to 1100 ml, this one, which is this one. All right. And the last is considered to be as the residual volume. Now, residual volume is considered to be that volume in which the air that is remained inside inside the lungs even after the forceful expiration. That means the amount of air that will be left inside the lungs even after forceful expiration. So that is called residual volume, which is also called as RV. So residual volume, which is called RV. So it is the volume of air so volume of air remaining in lungs even after forceful expiration. That is the case. So this is going to give a measurement of RV is usually 1100 to 1200 ml. So this means, this one, the option. All right, so this is the case. So let us take a look into the different options that has been given. So A is going to match up with third one. Okay. Then B is going to match up with first, this one. C is going to match up with fourth, and the D is going to match up with second. That means option B is the correct answer. Just a second, wait, not B, we can say, because this is the second one that is correct. So we're going to relate it with this. Option C is the correct answer, not B, sorry. So option C here is the correct answer. That means this one. All right. Now, question number 24. So question number 24 says that which of the following is an amino acid derived hormone? So here it is asking about the amino acid derived hormone. All right. And let me tell you that this question has been asked from the chapter of your chemical control and coordination of your standard 11th. All right, so there are certain hormones that has been given, list of the hormones that has been given, that is epinephrine, ecdysone, then estriol and estradiol. All right, now out of all this is a very direct question that has been asked. Now out, since we know that amino acids, they are usually of proteinaceous nature. They are basically these proteins, they are basically the polypeptides of amino acids. So one of the other thing that we can say is that amino acid is of protein natures. All right, so epinephrine basically here is considered to be as the correct answer. That means it is an amino acid derived hormone, because this epinephrine is derived from the tyrosine amino acid. So epinephrine is derived from tyrosine amino acid. So this is usually derived from tyrosine amino acid, and that too by the removal of carboxyl group. So by removing the carboxyl group, they are being formed, and it is epinephrine is actually a it's a category of catecholamines. So it is a catecholamine. All right, and epinephrine is basically it's a T3 hormone. All right, so epinephrine, norepinephrine, it is the name that comes out to be is epinephrine. These are basically the emergency hormones, you can say, that are being the emergency hormones that are produced in the body during any kind of emergency situations. All right, and they are responsible for sympathetic actions in the body. All right, so epinephrine, then norepinephrine, these are all amino acid derivatives, and that is released by the adrenal gland. All right, uh, so that is the case. On the other hand, these three hormones, when you consider, that means like ecdysone, estriol, and estradiol, these are actually steroidal hormones. So these all are steroid origin hormones, or steroid hormones, you can say. And so definitely they cannot be the amino acid derivative. All right, so that's why option A is the correct answer. Now question number 25. Question number 25 says that which of the following structures or regions is incorrectly paired with its function? It is asking about the incorrect pairing with the function. Medulla oblongata, that controls respiration and cardiovascular reflexes. Limbic system, that consists of fiber tracts that interconnects different regions of brain and controls movement. Corpus callosum, that bands of fibers connecting the right and the left cerebral hemisphere. And then hypothalamus, that means that is related to the production of releasing hormones and regulation of temperature, hunger, and thirst. Now, this question has been asked from the chapter of neural control and coordination, actually, from your standard 11. All right. Now, out of all the options that you can see, the incorrectly paired option, the incorrect pairing is with limbic system, actually. This is the incorrect pairing because limbic system is basically a part of the brain that is involved in controlling the behavioral and emotional responses. All right, so this is a part of the brain that deals with behavioral and emotional responses. So a part of brain dealing with behavioral and emotional responses. All right, so basically deals with behavioral and emotional responses. So this has nothing to do with the fiber tracts that interconnects the different regions of the brain, but it is not related to any kind of movement. So you can also write that, but not related to movements, related to any movement. So definitely this is the correct answer with regard to the question. Medulla oblongata is true that it controls respiration and cardiovascular reflexes. This is also, corpus callosum is also true because this is a kind of a band of nerve fibers. All right, that connects the right and the left cerebral hemisphere. And hypothalamus, the function is also true. This means that production of releasing hormones and regulating temperature, hunger, and thirst. All right, so that means the correct answer is option B. Now, question number 26. Now, question number 26 says that the transparent lens in the human eye is held in its place by. All right. So, the transparent lens that is found in the human eye that is held in its place by. So, ligaments that is attached to the ciliary body. Then, ligaments that is attached to the iris. Then, smooth muscles which are attached to the ciliary body and smooth muscles that are attached to iris. All right, so again this is a question that is a question that is from your from the chapter of your neural control and coordination only, and that too from the organ part, and that is human eye. All right, now let me tell you that the transparent lens, they are held together in position with the help of suspensory ligaments. All right, and those suspensory ligaments are attached to the ciliary body, and then only they are held together in position. So this is a very, very direct question that has been asked, and very easy question that has been asked. So that's why option A is going to be the correct answer. So you can say that lens in the human eye is held in its position is held in its position by suspensory ligaments. Suspensory ligaments that is attached to ciliary body. Ciliary body. All right, so that's why option A is the correct answer. So smooth muscles has nothing to do with the ciliary body or attachment. So definitely these are not the options. And ligaments attaching to the iris, no, because iris basically forms the central part of the eye. So definitely the attachment is on the outside parts, not on the inner part. So definitely this option is also wrong. So option A is the correct answer. Now, question number 27. Question number 27 says that which of the following hormones can play a significant role in the osteoporosis? All right. So the options that has been given are aldosterone and prolactin, progesterone and aldosterone, parathyroid hormone and prolactin, and estrogen and the parathyroid hormone. All right. So this question has been asked from your hormones chapter, which is chemical control and coordination of standard 11th. Now, let me tell you that out of the different hormone combinations that has been given in the below options, estrogen is one such hormone which is responsible for promoting the activity of the osteoblast, and they are responsible for inhibiting the osteoclast. All right. So, in case of the females or aging females, this osteoporosis is very common because of the deficiency of estrogen in them. All right. So, we can say that estrogen promotes the activity of osteoblast and inhibits osteoclast. All right. And since it is responsible for inhibiting the osteoclast, therefore, in case of the aging females or aged females, the osteoporosis is very common because of deficiency of estrogen. So, in aging females, osteoporosis is common and occurs due to deficiency of estrogen. So, this is the case. All right. So estrogen is one of the combinations of hormone that is involved in it, and the other hormone which is responsible for playing a significant role in osteoporosis is the parathyroid hormone which is considered to be as the parathormone, because parathormone is responsible for mobilizing the calcium from the bones to the blood. So since they transfer the calcium from bones to the blood, so definitely there is demineralization process. That means this is the process is called demineralization in the bones, and for that reason the osteoporosis is very very prevalent. All right. So the next hormone is parathyroid hormone. So parathyroid hormone, which is also known as parathormone. All right. So parathyroid hormone promotes mobilization. Mobilization basically means movement of calcium. All right. So mobilization of calcium from bones to blood. And since this mobilization is carried out, so there will be deficiency of calcium in the bones. So excessive activity of parathormone causes demineralization, leading to osteoporosis. All right, so this is the reason. So that means there are two important hormones which are responsible for the process of, or for the disease of osteoporosis. So this is estrogen and parathyroid hormone. So let us take a look. So option D here is coming out to be the correct answer. Estrogen and parathyroid hormone. Now, question number 28. So question number 28 says that which of the following gastric cells indirectly helps in erythropoiesis? All right. So let me tell you that this question has been asked from human digestion, the human nutrition chapter, basically, nutrition and absorption. Then the options that has been given regarding this are the chief cells, mucus cells, parietal cells, and goblet cells. All right. Now, let me tell you that out of all these cells, the main cells which are actually responsible for erythropoiesis, that means formation of RBCs. Let me tell you that erythropoiesis basically means formation of RBCs. This is basically relatable to erythropoiesis, means formation of RBCs. Now, for this erythropoiesis, the cells which are responsible for it are the parietal cells, which are also considered to be as oxyntic cells. So parietal or oxyntic cells is a source of, we know that these cells, they are a source of HCl, and along with that there are some intrinsic factors are also being released in the body. Now this HCl is responsible for converting the iron that is present in the diet from the ferric ions to the ferrous form, and so that it can be easily absorbed and used during the process of erythropoiesis formation. All right, so we can say that parietal cells or oxyntic cells is a source of HCl, and along with that intrinsic factors. All right. Now, this HCl converts, so this HCl is primarily responsible for converting iron present in food as ferric ion to ferrous form. Ferrous form, which is Fe2 plus. Ferric is Fe3 plus form. All right, so this basically converts ferric to ferrous form so that it can be easily absorbed and used during erythropoiesis. Erythropoiesis. While this intrinsic factors, they are also responsible for absorption of the vitamin B12. So this is about the HCl. All right. Now, intrinsic factor also plays a very important role in absorbing vitamin B12. So intrinsic factor is essential for absorption of vitamin B12 And if the deficiency will take place of these iron, so this will lead into pernicious anemia. And its deficiency causes anemia. All right, so this is the case. So with this, we have come to know that parietal cells, that means option C is the correct answer. All right. Now, question number 29. So question number 29 is a match the column kind of a question. That means match the items given in column 1 with those in the column 2 and select the correct option that is given below. All right. So column 1 says fibrinogen, globulin, and albumin, and column 2 says osmotic balance, blood clotting, and defense mechanism. So these are basically certain plasma proteins. These are the options of the plasma proteins that has been given on the column first. And this is a question from the chapter of body fluids and circulation. All right, so let us talk about the nature of the plasma proteins that is given over here. So the first one is fibrinogen. All right, so fibrinogen is basically a blood clotting protein that plays a very important role. So fibrinogen is an inactive form, so that gets converted into its active form, fibrin. So this is basically inactive form. So this forms active fibrin. And once the active fibrin will be formed, so during the process of blood coagulation, you can say, or blood clotting, during blood clotting process. Now, the strands of fibrin forms a network. So they are going to form a network, and the meshes which are occupied by blood cells, thereby forming blood clot. All right, so this is the explanation. So that means it is related to blood clotting. The next is globulin. Globulin, sorry. Globulin basically here stands for immunoglobulin, and this is responsible for production of antibodies. Globulins are primarily responsible for producing antibodies. So that's why they are involved in defense mechanism. That means B over here. So we can say that globulins, so they are involved in antibodies production. And we know that antibodies are required in the defense mechanism, in maintaining the defense mechanism that plays an important role in defense mechanisms. All right, so they are going to be related with defense mechanism. And the last is albumin. So this is related with osmotic balance, because this is a plasma protein which is basically responsible for maintaining the osmotic balance. That means osmolyte concentration. So albumin albumin maintains osmotic balance. All right. So this is going to match up with C. So let us take a look. A is going to match up with second, B is going to match up with third, and C is going to match up with first. That means third one option. That means option A is the correct answer. All right. Now, question number 30. So question number 30 says that which of the following is an occupational respiratory disorder? All right. So it is asking about occupational respiratory disorder. Occupational respiratory disorder is one such disorder which is caused as a result of your occupation or as a result of the work at the workplace, you can say. All right. So this question has been asked from the chapter of environmental issues only, that we can say. And let us take a look into the different options. There is anthracis, there is silicosis, emphysema, and botulism. All right. So let me tell you that let us just scan the different options which is like that has been given. So anthracis is basically the anthrax disease. It's which is caused by bacillus anthracis, and it usually affects the domestic and the wild animals. All right, so we can say that the option A, which is anthracis, is caused by anthracis, or you can say anthrax also, that is caused by bacillus anthracis. Bacillus anthracis, and that affects the domestic and wild animals. That affects domestic and wild animals. So definitely this is not considered to be as a category of occupational respiratory disorder. This is not an option. All right. Now the B option, which is silicosis. Now this option is somewhat can be found to be correct, because silicosis is caused because of excess inhalation of silica dust, that and these dust, it usually gets inhaled by those workers who are involved in working in those industries or those areas where there are grinding processes or stone breaking processes are being involved. All right, so we can say that it is caused due to, it is caused due to excess inhalation of silica dust in the workers involved in grinding or stone breaking industries. And if there is a long term exposure, so this can also result into fibrosis. All right, fibrosis, that means inflammation in the bronchi and bronchioles leading to serious lung damage. So their long exposure can result to fibrosis, causing serious lung damage. So we can say that since it is since this disease is occurring at the occupational site, that means the workers working in the stone and grinding breaking industries, so that's why it is an occupational respiratory disorder. So It is an occupational respiratory disorder. Clear? So this is the case. Now, the third option is emphysema and then botulism. So again, emphysema is also a respiratory disorder, but here the alveolar walls gets damaged, and because of which the respiratory surface is reduced. So this is not an occupational respiratory disorder again. So emphysema, it is a respiratory disorder. Damaging alveolar walls. It basically damages the alveolar walls, and so respiratory surface gets decreased. All right. And the last is considered to be as botulism. Now, botulism is a case of food poisoning. All right. That is caused by Clostridium botulinum. So, a form of food poisoning, you can say. Poisoning. Caused by Clostridium botulinum. All right. So that means this is also not the correct option. This is also not the correct option. Option B is considered to be as the correct one. All right. Now, question number 31. So, this question says that calcium is important in the skeletal muscle contraction because it, option A, binds to troponin to remove the masking of active sites on actin for myosin, activates the myosin ATPase by binding to it, prevents the formation of bonds between the myosin cross bridges and the actin filament, and detaches the myosin head from the actin filament. All right. Now, this question has been asked from the chapter of your locomotion and movement of 11th standard. And let me tell you that this question is basically related with the process of muscular contraction. All right. Or how the muscles contract. Now, let me tell you that calcium ions, they play a very, very important role in the skeletal muscle contraction, because these calcium ions, and in the process of the muscular contraction, the level of the calcium ions, it increases to many folds in the sarcoplasm. So let us just go ahead with the explanation part first, and then we'll come on to the conclusive options. So we can say basically that this signals for muscular contraction the signals for muscular contraction results into increase in the calcium ions level, and say calcium ions level in the sarcoplasm. All right. So sarcoplasm, sarcoplasm. Sorry, it's sarcoplasm. So sarcoplasm is basically the cytoplasm of the skeletal muscles. So that is called as sarcoplasm. All right. So once the signal is initiated, so this actually increases the uh, you know uh, increases the level of the calcium ions in the cytoplasm of the skeletal muscles. Now once the calcium ions are increased, so these calcium ions, they are going to bind, these calcium ions binds to, so they are going to ultimately bind to troponin, all right, which is a main important protein involved in the muscular contraction. So they bind to troponin, which is responsible for which is actually responsible for unmasking unmasking the active site on the actin filament. So basically there are two, the muscular contraction takes place with the help of two important proteins, that is troponin and actin. All right. So actin filament, they have an ATP binding site or an ATP binding subunit. And once the calcium ion will be binding to this troponin, this will be ultimately responsible for unmasking or uncovering the active site, which is present on the actin filament. And thus, the subunit of the troponin will be displaced. And thus, displaces the subunit of troponin. And once the unmasking has been done and the active site is exposed, that means the ATP binding site is exposed, now the head of the myosin filament, it is going to attach and initiate the contraction process. So you can say that once the active site is exposed, so once the active site is exposed, head of the myosin is going to attach and initiates the contraction process. That means muscular contraction process by the process of sliding over the actin filament. So by sliding over the, just write it, sliding over the actin, or rather sliding the actin over the myosin filament. Just a second. It's sliding the actin over myosin filament. So this is how the process of muscular contraction takes place, and that's why this method is considered to be as the sliding filament theory. So this is actually considered to be as sliding filament theory of muscular contraction. Theory of muscular contraction. So basically, there are three important things which are required, that is troponin, actin, and myosin. So there are two important filaments, and troponin are basically the proteinaceous molecules. All right, so let us take a look into the options that has been given. So calcium is important in the skeletal muscle contraction because it binds to troponin to remove the masking of active sites on actin for myosin. So we have seen over here that the answer written over here is correct. So this statement is considered to be as the correct option. All right, because once the calcium ions will be binding to troponin, this is going to unmask the ATP binding sites on the actin, and so then the actin will be sliding over the myosin filament. So option A is the correct answer. So it activates the myosin ATPase by binding to it. Again, no. Prevents the formation of bonds between the myosin cross bridges and actin filament. No. Then detaches the myosin head from the actin filament. Again, no. So the correct option is option A over here. All right, and we have seen the explanation. Now, question number 32. Question number 32 says that you have to select the incorrect match. So Lambert's chromosomes shows the diplotin bivalence. Allosomes is a part of, it is also known as sex chromosomes. Polytene chromosomes, oocytes of amphibians, and submetacentric chromosome is L-shaped chromosomes. Now this question has been asked from the chapter of your cell, which is the unit of life from your standard 11. Now let me tell you that out of all the options that has been given over here, all right, so the incorrect match is basically the option C, this one. This is basically the incorrect match. The reason for this is because polytene chromosomes are such chromosomes which are very large, and they have many thousands of DNA strands that are usually found in the salivary glands of insects, but not in the oocytes of amphibians. So we can say that polytene chromosomes are large chromosomes that have thousands of DNA strands, that usually have thousands of DNA strands and is found in they are basically found in the salivary glands of insects. Salivary glands of insects, but not in the oocytes of amphibians. So this is the case. All right, and that too, this basically salivary glands of insects belonging to the category of dipterans. So insects belonging to Diptera order. So this is the case. So that means the incorrect match is this one. Now Lambert's chromosomes, they have the presence of diprotein bivalent. Again, this is true. Allosome is called as sex chromosome. This is also correct. Allosome is the alternative name of sex chromosome. And submetacentric chromosome, they are L-shaped chromosome. Again, this is also true. All right. So that's why the incorrect is option C. Now, question number 33. Question number 33 says that Nizzel's body are mainly composed of. All right. So Nizzel's bodies are mainly composed of proteins and lipids, DNA and RNA, free ribosomes and RER, nucleic acids and SER. All right. Now let me tell you that this question has been asked from the chapter of your cell. All right. The unit of life from your standard 11. And Nizzle bodies are actually, they are considered to be those bodies which consist of Nizzle granules. And these Nizzle granules, they are found in the cyton, or you can say the cell body part of the neurons. All right. And like, for example, the neuron, which is divided into three distinct parts, dendrite, cyton, dendrites, and axon. So this is usually found in the cyton part. All right. And these Nissl bodies, we can write that Nissl bodies contains Nissl granules. So Nissl bodies usually contain Nissl granules, and they are found in, or they are present in, cyton, which is also known as cell body of neurons. And it might be possible they even might extend towards the dendrites part as well, but they are usually absent in the axon part. So, however, they are absent in axon. However, they are absent in axon. All right. So they are usually composed of these Nissl bodies. Since they consist of Nissl granules, and these Nissl granules are responsible for protein synthesis. They are actually responsible for protein synthesis, and we all know that proteins are synthesized by ribosomes and rough endoplasmic reticulum. All right. So that's why we can say that these Nissl granules are composed of free ribosomes also, as well as the ribosomes which are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum as well. So they are composed of free ribosomes and ARIA, that means rough endoplasmic reticulum. And so they are responsible for protein synthesis. So they are responsible for protein synthesis. All right. So they're usually composed of free ribosomes and ARIA. All right. So our option C is the correct answer. Now, question number 34. Question number 34 says that which of these statement is incorrect? Now, enzymes of TCA cycle are present in the mitochondrial matrix. Glycolysis occurs in cytosol. Oxidative phosphorylation takes place in outer mitochondrial membrane. Glycolysis operates as long as it is supplied with NAD that can pick up hydrogen atoms. All right. Now, this question has been asked from the chapter of respiration in plants, and it is from 11th standard. And there are certain statements regarding the processes, if you see. So out of all the statements that we have read out, the incorrect statement is basically the statement C over here, which is this one, that says that oxidative phosphorylation takes place in the outer mitochondrial membrane. All right, now let me tell you that oxidative phosphorylation, which is also known as electron transport chain. All right, so we can say that oxidative phosphorylation, which is also known as electron transport chain, shortly termed as ETC, occurs in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So this basically occurs in the inner mitochondrial membrane. And not in the outer mitochondrial membrane. And the reason for this is that this ETC is usually composed of complex proteins, complexes, which are usually the protein molecules. So those complexes needs support for holding up in the membrane or for carrying out their function. So that's why. So you can say, so they are basically found in the inner mitochondrial membrane. And the reason you can say is that the reason is ETC is composed of of complexes or complex proteins, you can say. That is complex 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 proteins, which are held together in the or which are supported by the inner mitochondrial membrane. So, which are supported by inner mitochondrial membrane. So this is the reason that the statement, all out of all the statements, the incorrect statement is option C. So it is the correct answer. Because enzymes of TCA cycles, they are present in the mitochondrial matrix. So this is a true statement, correct statement. So this is basically a correct statement. Then glycolysis occurs in cytosol. This is also correct. Whether it's a prokaryotic cell or a eukaryotic cell, glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm. And glycolysis operates as long as it is supplied with NAD that can pick up hydrogen atoms. Again, this is also considered to be correct because it requires energy source and that is available in the form of NAD and ATP. All right. So that's why the incorrect statement is option C. Now, question number 35. Question number 35 says that which of the following events does not occur in the rough endoplasmic reticulum? So out of all the events that has been given, like protein folding, protein glycosylation, phospholipid synthesis, and cleavage of signal peptide. All right. So which does not occur in the rough endoplasmic reticulum? So this question has been asked from the chapter of cell, the unit of life of your 11th standard. All right. Now, let me tell you that if you just consider the functions of rough endoplasmic reticulum, so rough endoplasmic reticulum is involved in protein synthesis also, and it is involved in certain modifications also. All right. So, functions of rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is primarily related with, so it is responsible for protein synthesis. Apart from that, it is also responsible for protein folding as well. Protein folding, because until and unless the folding is carried out, the protein won't be active. So it is very, very important that the protein folding should be carried out. Then it is also involved in the protein glycosylation. So that means adding carbohydrate molecules to the protein in order to stabilize the protein molecules. So this is called protein glycosylation. Glycosylation basically means addition of carbohydrate molecules. All right, so protein glycosylation, which is a category of modification of protein, and it also involves cleaving any unwanted peptides. So cleaving of any signal peptides or any unwanted protein part that is not required for protein folding or that hinders in protein folding. So signaling, cleaving of signaling proteins. So all these are the functions. So the only one function that is left which doesn't occur in rough endoplasmic reticulum is option C, which is phospholipid synthesis, because this is a function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum, but not of the rough endoplasmic reticulum. All right. So we can say that, however, phospholipid synthesis is a function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum. That means SER. This is not a function of RER. All right. So that's why does not occur here. It is asking about. So the correct answer is option C over here. Now, question number 36. Question number 36 says that many ribosomes may associate with a single mRNA to form multiple copies of a polypeptide simultaneously. Now, such strings of ribosomes, they are termed as. All right. So here, this is a definitive question, definition kind of a question that has been asked. So whether it is called polysome or polyhedral bodies or nucleosome or plastodome. All right. Now this question, this is a very direct question. As I told you that this is a definition kind of a question. So this is very direct. And this question has been asked from the chapter of Cell, the Unit of Life, from your 11th standard. All right. Now, let me tell you the phenomena in which the ribosomes, they are held together in a single mRNA molecule. So this something looks like this. This is an mRNA and the ribosomes, they are held together like this. They are present over here like this. Multiple ribosomal units, they are present like this. All right. So this becomes the mRNA, which is a single mRNA. And here you can see the presence of ribosomes. Multiple ribosomes that are attached to a single mRNA. So this process or this phenomenon is considered to be as polyribosome, also known as polysome. All right. So you can just write that the phenomena of binding or association of multiple ribosomes with a single mRNA is known as polyribosomes, which is also known as polysomes. Polyribosomes or polysomes. And this makes the process of translation to be very fast. Since in a single mRNA, multiple ribosomes are formed, multiple ribosomes are binded. So this will increase the rate of translation synthesis. All right. So this is going to increase the rate of translational process. So that's why we can say the correct answer is polysome. All right. Now, the next is question number 37. Now, question number 37 says that which of the following terms describes the human dentition? All right. So it is thecodont, diffeodont, or diphyodont and homodont. Thecodont, thecodont, diphyodont and heterodont. Then pleurodont, diphyodont and heterodont. Pleurodont, monophyodont and homodont. All right. Now this question has been asked from the chapter of human nutrition. That means digestion and absorption chapter from your 11th standard. And let me tell you that humans basically experience 3 types of teeth during their entire life cycle. All right. So humans have or you can say experiences three types of dentition. So they usually experience three types of dentition. All right. So the first one is considered to be as ecodont. Ecodont is basically that type of dentition in which when the teeth are embedded in the socket of the jawbone. So that is called ecodont. So it is a dentition in which the teeth are embedded in the socket of jawbone. Remember, so the teeth are usually embedded in the socket of the jawbone. So this is the first type of dentition. All right. Now the second type of dentition is considered to be as the diphyodont dentition. So it's diphyodont dentition. Now this is a dentition in which the humans usually experiences two type of teeth in their entire life cycle. So the one is considered to be as the temporary teeth, which is also known as milk teeth, and the other is considered to be as a permanent teeth, which is an adult teeth. All right. So in this, humans experience two types of teeth. Teeth in their life. All right. So the first is considered to be as milk teeth, which is also known as temporary or deciduous teeth. Deciduous teeth. And the other one is known as permanent or adult teeth, which grows after the milk teeth or the temporary teeth is shed off. So the second one is permanent or adult teeth. Permanent or adult teeth. All right. Now, the third category is considered to be as heterodont. Now, in case of heterodont dentition, humans usually have four types of teeth that is present in their oral cavity. So, humans have four types of teeth in oral cavity. All right. So usually they have, that's why it is called hetero. That means four different types of teeth that are found in their oral cavity. And those include, and these are incisors, or rather we can say so it's incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. So these are the four types of teeth that are found in humans in their oral cavities. That's why it is called heterodont dentition. Now let us take a look at what are the options that has been given above. So it is thecodont, diphyodont, and heterodont. So thecodont, diphyodont, homodont, no. Thecodon, diphyodon, heterodon, true. This is true. Pleurodon, diphyodon, heterodon, no. Pleurodon, monophyodon, and homodon. So that's why option B is the correct answer. All right, now question number 38. Now, question number 38 says that you have to identify the vertebrate group of animals that are characterized by crop and gizzard in their digestive system. Now, this question has been asked from the chapter of animal kingdom, that means kingdom Animalia, from your 11th standard. So let us talk about the options. Options are amphibia, reptilia, ostrich thighs, and apes. Now, let me tell you, this crop and gizzard system, all right, crop is basically a storage organ for food that is found in the digestive system, and gizzard is basically meant for grinding the food particles into smaller pieces. That is again found in the digestive system, and it is found that these two, that means crop and gizzard, they are considered to be as the characteristic features of birds, which are called aves. All right, so you can say that crop and gizzard are a part of digestive system of aves, which are birds. All right, and you might also be knowing this fact as well, that these crop and gizzard, they are also found in the insects category, and that too in the cockroach category as well. So they are also found in the digestive tract of the cockroach as well. All right, so as I told you that they are a part of the digestive system of aves, that means birds. And as I told you, that crop is basically a storage organ. All right, so crop is meant for storing food grains, you can say, while gizzard is meant for grinding the food particles. So gizzard is meant for crushing or grinding the food grains. Grinding food grains. All right, so that's why option D is the correct answer. Now, question number 39. Question number 39 says that which one of these animals is not a homeotherm? So which one of these animals is not a homeotherm animals? It is Macropus, Chilon, then Cytacula, and Camelus. Now this question again has been asked from the chapter of Kingdom Animalia of standard 11. Now let me tell you that what are exactly homeotherms. Now, homeotherms are those categories of animals that have an ability of maintaining a constant body temperature in spite of, or you can say despite of varying fluctuation in environmental conditions. They have a very unique ability of maintaining a constancy in their body temperature. And this is a very unique ability of theirs, because this is only and only found in the members of aves and mammalia. That means birds and mammalia, and not in any other category, because this is a highly energy expensive process that requires high amount of energy. That's why. So you can say that homeotherms are those animals which can maintain constant body temperature, despite of varying or fluctuating So despite of varying or fluctuating outside environmental conditions or temperature, you can say. Conditions or temperature. And homeothermic animals, the example of homeotherms is basically birds and mammals. So all the birds and mammals, they show a category of, they show a process or a category of homeothermy. All right. Now, out of all the options that has been given over here, so the first is the macropus. All right. So this is a this is a mammal category. So this is definitely a correct option. Then there is Shillon. Shillon is basically not a homeothermic category. So this is the correct answer with regard to the question that has been asked, because Shillon is a turtle category belonging to Reptilia. So you can say that Shillon is not a homeotherm, which means turtle is not a homeotherm as not a homeotherm as it belongs to Reptilia, and so it is poikilotherm. So that's why it is a category belonging to poikilotherm category. That means they are not able to maintain constant body temperature. That means they are considered to be cold-blooded animals or cold-blooded. All right. So that is the case. Cytacula, again, Cytacula is a category of, bird. So this is also a homeothermic animal. Camelus is camel, which is a mammal. All right. So that's why the correct answer is option B. Now, question number 40. Question number 40 says that which of the following features is used to identify a male cockroach from a female cockroach? Now, this question has been asked from the chapter of structural organization in animals of your standard 11, and it is from the animal type category cockroach. So there are certain things which we usually use to categorize or differentiate between a male and a female cockroach. All right. So usually males, they have, let me tell you that usually male cockroach, they usually have a pair of short thread-like anal styles. All right. And anal styles are actually absent. These are actually absent in case of females. Anal styles, or you can say caudal styles, basically. All right. So we can say that males, or male cockroach rather, male cockroach bears a pair of short thread-like anal styles. So they usually have a pair of anal styles, and these anal styles are actually responsible for the process of copulation. All right. So anal styles which are absent in case of females. So which are absent in female cockroaches. And these anal styles, they usually arises from the ninth abdominal segment of the male cockroach. And anal styles arises from ninth abdominal segment of male cockroach. All right, so that's one. So let us take a look into the options. Presence of board-shaped sternum on the ninth abdominal segment. Now this is common in case of both male cockroach and female cockroach. That means presence of sternum. Then presence of caudal style. This is only in case of male cockroach. So we can say only in males. All right. Presence of anal cerci. It is present in both. That means this is common in both males and females. Forewings with darker tegmina. Again, this is also common feature in case of both male and female cockroach. So that's why the correct answer is option B over here. All right. So let's talk about question number 41. So this question says that which of the following organisms are known as the chief producers in the oceans? All right. Dinoflagellates, diatoms, euglenoids, and cyanobacteria. This question has been asked from the chapter of biological classification of 11th standard. All right. And since here it is asking about the chief producer. All right. It is asking about here the chief producer. So let me tell you that it is a very direct question that has been asked. So chrysophytes that primarily includes the members of diatoms. So chrysophytes that includes diatoms and golden algae, which are also considered to be as desmids, which are also known as desmids. They are considered to be, or they are known as the chief producers in the oceans. They are known as chief producers of oceans. So remember, because these chrysophytes, that includes two members, diatoms also and golden algae also. All right. So that's why the correct option is option number B, which is diatoms. And regarding the dinoflagellates, so dinoflagellate and euglenoids, both are the members of kingdom Protista. All right. Diatom is also a category of kingdom Protista. All right. But these diatoms, they are considered to be as the chief producers. And then we all know that cyanobacteria is a category of bacterial species. Blue-green algae, representing blue-green algae. So definitely this won't be the options. Diatoms is the correct one. Now, next question is question number 42. Question number 42 says that ciliates differ from all other protozoans in using flagella for locomotion, having a contractile vacuole for removing excess water, having two types of nuclei, and using pseudopodia for capturing the prey. All right. Now again, this question has been asked from the chapter of your biological classification of standard 11. All right. And let me tell you that when this ciliate this protozoan category is basically a member of your kingdom Protista. So kingdom Protista primarily has 5 different classes. That includes chrysophytes, then dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoans. And in case of protozoans, there are ciliated protozoans, there are amoeboid protozoans, there are sporozoans, these and flagellated protozoans. So basically, protozoans have 4 different categories. So you might have studied it also. So it basically includes amoeboid types. I'm explaining its types. So amoeboid protozoans, then ciliated protozoan, and one of the best examples of ciliated protozoan, why they are called ciliated, because they have the presence of cilia on their entire surface, which are fine brush border like structures that helps in the movement. So ciliated protozoans, the example includes paramecium. And here it is asking in the question also, it is asking about the ciliates. Then third is flagellated protozoans. That includes trypanosoma as an example. And the last is considered to be as sporozoans, which includes plasmodium. All right, so that is the case. So since here it has been asked about the ciliated protozoans, so we will be focusing on this part. Now these ciliated protozoans, they have a very characteristic feature, and the characteristic feature found in them are the cilia. Characteristic feature is cilia. That's why they are considered to be as the ciliated protozoa. Now, they have another very important feature, and that important feature is that they have the presence of, that means this paramecium, they have the presence of, this paramecium, they have the presence of two types of nuclei. All right. So they have two types of nuclei. One is called as the macronucleus and the other is called as the micronucleus. That is macronucleus and micronucleus. So since they have the presence of two types of nucleus, that's why the ciliated, they are different from the other types of protozoans or other categories of protozoans. All right, so that's why if you just look into the category, so using flagella for locomotion, no. So this will actually belong to flagellated protozoan. This will belong to flagellated protozoan. So definitely this won't be the option. Then there is having a contractile vacuole for removing the excess water. Again, this is a category of amoeboid protozoan. Amoeboid protozoans, they have the presence of two types of nuclei. So this is again true. Using pseudopodia for capture of the prey, this is amoeboid protozoans. So pseudopodia or false feet, amoeboid protozoans. All right, so that is the case. So the correct answer is option C over here. Now, question number 43. Question number 43 says that which of the following animals does not undergo metamorphosis? All right. So is it earthworm, tunicate, starfish, and moth? Now this question has been asked from the chapter of Animal Kingdom of your standard 11. All right. And let me tell you that metamorphosis is a process in which there is the process of development of larva into an adult form. So that is considered to be as metamorphosis. So metamorphosis is a process of development of larva into adult. All right, so this is called metamorphosis. And animals that shows the presence of metamorphosis, they are known to exhibit indirect pattern of development. All right, so animals exhibiting metamorphosis, animals exhibiting metamorphosis shows indirect development. So they basically shows indirect development. That means through larva, the development that takes place through larval stages. All right. So out of all the categories that has been given over here, see, metamorphosis is one such category which is very prominent in case of insects. All right. And apart from insects, this is also found in some higher categories of invertebrate like echinodermata. All right. So that is also, they are being found. So if you just look into the options that has been given over here, all right. So there is earthworm, tunicate, starfish, moth. Moth we all know is a category of insects. So definitely this won't be an option. Starfish is a category of echinodermata. It's a member of echinodermata, and they undergo in the members of echinodermata the process of metamorphosis. Various kinds of larval stages are seen over there. So again, this also won't be an option. Then there is tunicates. Tunicates also shows the process of metamorphosis. And the only left option is earthworm, which has a process of direct development. They do not show indirect development. Rather, they have a stage of direct development where there is no larval stages found and no metamorphosis. So you can say that in earthworm, the development is direct. Which means no larval stages and no metamorphosis. So this is the case. All right. That means option A is the correct answer. Now, question number 44. Now, question number 44 says you have to match the items with the following column. That means given in 1 and 2. All right. With those, and you have to select the correct option that has been given below. So, looking into the column 1 and column 2, this question has been asked from the chapter of your excretion of your standard 11th actually. All right. And let us take a look into the different options that has been given. All right. Now the first option is ultrafiltration. So ultrafiltration basically is a process in which there is filtration of fine particles. All right. Let me tell you that it's a process in which there is filtration of very fine particles and whose molecular weight is usually lesser than 68,000 daltons. And for this process of ultrafiltration, the structure which is required is the Malpighian corpuscle or of the Bowman's capsule, you can say. All right, so that is the case. So ultrafiltration is going to match up with this one here, A. So we can just write that ultrafiltration is a process of filtration of very fine particles. And these fine particles can include important ions or any kind of minerals or something. So very fine particles having molecular weight of 68,000 daltons. And it is through Malpighian corpuscle. Remember, Malpighian corpuscle. Corpuscle. Ultrafiltration. All right. Now, the second is concentration of urine. Now, the concentration of urine is basically refers to the process in which there will be absorption of the sea. Urine is a component of glomerular filtrate. All right. So, because and since this is a component of glomerular filtrate, so because of the process of hyperosmolarity, you know, that will be created by the counter current mechanism in the Henle's loop, the concentration of urine can be done or carried out. So this is basically going to relate with Henle's loop over here. We can just write that B option is concentration of urine refers to absorption from glomerular filtrate as a result of hyperosmolarity. And because of the result of the hyperosmolarity that is created in the medulla. So you can say created in the medulla by counter current mechanism. In Henle's loop. So this is the case. All right. So B is going to match up with first. Now the transportation of urine. Now with regard to the transportation of urine, we know that there is the urine is basically transported through the ureter. All right. So this is going to be transported in the ureter part. So this is going to match up with C, and the storage of urine is done in the urinary bladder over D. All right. So we can say that urine is transported by ureter from kidney to urinary bladder. So from kidney to urinary bladder, the urine is transported, and the storage of urine is done or concerned with urinary bladder. So storage of urine is done by urinary bladder. So urine from ureter, from kidney to the urinary bladder, and then storage of urine is basically done by urinary bladder. All right. So let us take a look at the options that has been given. So A is going to match up with fourth one, this one. Then B is going to match up with first, that means this one. Then C is going to match up with second, and D is going to match up with third. So the correct answer is option 2. That means this one. Option A over here. All right, now question number 45. So question number 45, again, this is a match the column kind of a question that has been given. So you have to match the items in the given column 1 and those in the column 2. So regarding the various categories that has been given. So this is again a question that has been asked from the chapter of your excretion, human excretion, and that too from your 11th standard. All right. Now, so the first option is glycosuria. It's glycosuria. Glycosuria is basically a phenomena that indicates the presence of glucose in urine. This is basically a disorder that is related to kidney, and this results. This is caused when there is more amount of glucose that is found in the urine, and as a result, the blood glucose level, it rises to the normal level. It rises above the normal level, and which is considered to be a very deadly condition. All right. So glycosuria it is the presence of glucose in urine. Presence of glucose in urine. So that is the case. All right. So this is going to match up with A. Then the option B is gout. Now gout again is again a deficiency, or you can say disorder, that is related with kidney, that results into deposition of the uric acid in the uric acid crystals that gets deposited in the joints of the human body. So accumulation of uric acid in the joints, you can say. So this is going to match up with B. So it is the deposition of uric acid crystals in joints. All right. Then the third is renal calculi. Renal calculi. Now, renal calculi is basically a process in which there is precipitation of calcium phosphate that is produced in the pelvis of the kidney. So all the masses, or you can say all the crystallized salts that is usually present in the form of calcium phosphate, that is deposited within the kidney. So it is the precipitation of masses of, or mass of crystallized salts. Crystallized salts, that is calcium phosphate in the kidney. So this is going to match up with C. And the last is glomerular nephritis, which is a process in which there is inflammation that occurs in the glomerulus. All right. And this is because of two important conditions, that is proteinuria and hematuria. So it is because of the proteinuria and hematuria there is deposition or inflammation in the glomerulus. So the D is glomerular nephritis. It is the inflammation of glomerulus due to hematuria and proteinuria. So this is the case. All right, so let us take a look at the options that has been matching up. So A is going to match up with fourth, B is going to match up with 1, C is going to match up with second, and D is going to match up with third. That means third option is the correct answer. That means option C over here is the correct answer.